Hey, Shadow Spinner here. Right now I'm doing a little reply video to a video that Hayden Claire Heroes made. She made a video listing her top 10 favorite superheroes, and she asked other people to reply with their top 10. So this would be my top 10. um, it's hard to narrow it down to 10, but I finally made a list, although it's subject to change. I mean, with new stuff coming out all the time, your opinions can change about who your favorite is and whatever and who you like. So this is just for now. My number 10 favorite is Kid Flash. Um, I like Kid Flash a lot. I'm not really sure why he's my top 10. I mean, I like his character, I guess. I always thought he was really funny and upbeat character. And I liked his stories. And I just liked Kid Flash. I love super speed, the idea of super speed. I don't know why I always thought that was just really cool. I love to have super speed. You'd never be late. So Kid Flash is definitely my number 10. My number 9 is Nightcrawler. I first started liking Nightcrawler when I was watching X-Men Evolution. I can't remember when that was on television. It was a couple years ago, I think it ended. But that's when I first really got introduced to Nightcrawler. Like, I wasn't really into the X-Men too much at first. I was always more of a DC person. But I started watching that show because another hero that's in my top 10 higher up was in that show and ended up really liking that character. But anyway, rambling. So I watched that and I really enjoyed Nightcrawler a lot. I loved his origin story, his backstory. I thought that was just really interesting how they brought it out and explained it, and how he had to deal with the idea that he didn't know who his mom was for a while, and then when he found out, it was such a disappointment to him. Like, I don't want to spoil anything if you never found out and you're interested in the character, but and so I always thought that was just really sad, but it was interesting how he would persevere ahead anyway, even though he had this whole huge disappointment and his mom was somebody he didn't want to be. So I thought that was interesting. And I love the color blue. That's a really random thing, but I do love the color blue, and so I always liked that he was blue. And I love his accent. I'm pretty sure it's Bavarian, I think. I love it. It's awesome. And of course I like the idea that he's able to apparate to different areas. So I thought that was like awesome. So yes, Nightcrawler is definitely my 9. My number 8 is Supergirl. Supergirl is actually the first comic that I started reading. I got a whole collection of them from my neighbor who was getting rid of their comics, and so I got this whole box of Supergirl comics, and that was what first got me into Heroes, was Supergirl. Um, so of course she's really important to me as a hero. Besides the fact that she's awesome on her own, she is also what got me into the whole superhero thing in the first place, really. Um, I loved how she was just really sweet and really upbeat and friendly. And she just had some really cool stuff about her too. Like, she had all the powers of Superman for one thing, which I thought was pretty awesome. And then she had this comb. Like, she was in college and she was also a Supergirl. So when she was in college, she had this comb and she would run it through her blonde hair and it would turn short and brown. At least in the comics where I read. But which are still my favorite, like, incarnation of Supergirl. But I always thought that was just really cool. Like, the ultimate secret identity. You know, it's not like Clark Kent where it's like the glasses. I mean, that was really awesome. I just thought that was cool. So Supergirl is definitely my number 9. My number 8. My number 7 is Captain America. I've always liked Captain America. I watched like the Avengers stuff and read the Avengers comics, so I knew who he was. I always liked him, but it kind of was more of a getting to like him thing. What I really liked about Captain America, even from the beginning, before he became one of my favorite heroes, was that he really just embodies the whole American spirit. He's brave and courageous and chivalrous and kind, and he's just, the all-American awesome superhero. And I thought it was really awesome too how he started out this like scrawny kid, and he showed that through his spirit and strength he became Captain America. So I really like Captain America. He's awesome. My number 6 is Robin, or Nightwing, Dick Grayson, whatever what you want to go by. He starts out as Robin, as Batman's sidekick, and then he turns into Nightwing later on, after he separates from Batman and kind of goes solo. But I grew up with Batman, and so I always grew up with Robin too. And I thought Robin was just awesome. Always did. I mean, he was like the happy in comparison to Batman's like tragedy, I guess you could say. Like Robin's always over there with the green and the red tights, and then Batman's are in the gray and the black, all solemn. I just thought that was really funny, like foil to each other. Another thing that I thought was really interesting about Robin is how he is a leader. He has great leadership skills, and he's always trying to lead. And while he's Batman's sidekick, he kind of has to learn how to anchor that feeling that he wants to lead while he's with Batman, because Batman's the hero and he's the sidekick, more of the helper. He's not the leader. And so he's always kind of fighting that need to lead. So I thought that was really interesting struggle he had with that. And then, of course, he does lead in like Teen Titans and Young Justice somewhat. So I always thought that was really interesting aspect of Robin's character. Let me see. My number 5 is Raven. I first started liking Raven with the show Teen Titans, with the cartoon show Teen Titans. I think that ended in probably like 2005 or 2007. Gosh, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that's right. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. But that's where I first started really learning about her character. I really liked Raven. She was definitely my favorite Teen Titan. And she's still one of my favorite heroes. Obviously, she's my number 5. But I loved her power. She had the levitation, and she can fly, and I thought that was just really cool. And she has the purple outfit going on. Purple's my favorite color. So I thought that was really cool. And I thought it was neat how on the exterior she looks like this really dark, just goth person. But underneath it, she's really has this wry, sarcastic sense of humor, and she just wants to have friends and be accepted. And then another interesting storyline I thought was with her dad and how she tries to like resist going over to the dark side, even though that appeals to her darker nature. She realizes that's wrong, and she tries to shove away from that. So I really like that whole thing. I really just like Raven. My number 4 is Shadowcat, or Kitty Pryde from X-Men. Shadowcat she's what got me interested in X-Men, because like I said, I watched X-Men Evolution. That's kind of what introduced me to the X-Men. I've watched the first episode because like I said, I'm more of a DC person, and I was just never really interested in X-Men. Sorry, I'm like blanking out here. In X-Men, and so I decided to watch the first episode of the show anyway. And the first episode is actually about Kitty Pryde, aka Shadowcat, getting into the X-Men. Like, she's just discovering her powers, and they're trying to pull her over there, while the bad characters run by Mystique are trying to get her to go over with them. And I thought that was just really cool. She has really neat powers, so kind of similar to Raven. She can go through like solid objects. And I just really liked her personality too. She was just really funny and upbeat, and I really just liked her a lot. I liked her powers. I liked how her storyline progressed. She kind of started out as like the younger character to all the older characters, you know. And but as the show went on and her comics went on, and she really grew as a character and became really her own person. She wasn't just one of those X-Men characters. She was her own character, and I thought that was really awesome. So Shadowcat is my number 4. My number 3 is Wonder Woman. I grew up with Wonder Woman. I grew up with a lot of superheroes, but Wonder Woman is definitely one of them. She used to be my number 1 for a long time. I read the Wonder Woman comics a lot. That was really how I know Wonder Woman. I haven't really watched much of the shows or anything. I don't know, probably just I watched Justice League, the older version of the show, for a while, but like, it was just one of those things where you don't want to have your image of the character ruined, sort of thing. I don't know if I'm the only person who has that, but like when I read a book, I sometimes don't want there to be a movie because I have my own vision of everything as how it should be, and I'm scared they'll mess it up. So I haven't watched that new cartoon Wonder Woman movie that came out like a year ago, I think. I was excited though that there was going to be a new show, but the pilot never got picked up, so I don't think they're going to do that. I was kind of disappointed, though I was actually getting excited. I was like, okay, I'll take that plunge. I'll watch a Wonder Woman show, and then nothing happened with that. But I do like Wonder Woman a lot. She was, like I said, one of my first heroes that I liked. I really just liked her whole story. I liked everything that she stood for, and I just really enjoyed her whole everything. My number 2 is Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. He was my first Marvel hero that I actually really liked and kind of opened the gateway for me to go get into Marvel stuff. But a lot of people like Spider-Man because he's just a really accessible hero. I mean, I think why a lot of people feel like they can connect with Peter Parker is because he's a young hero. Like, he's the one, I think, who kind of spawned that whole younger teens can be heroes too thing. So I think a lot of kids like him, a lot of adults like him, everybody likes Spider-Man, but I really do like Spider-Man. I've read all the comics, I've watched the movies. I do genuinely really like Spider-Man. I've seen the Broadway show, which was phenomenal. So I just love Spider-Man. I love his whole story. I love his whole personality. I love Spider-Man. I just love Spider-Man. So, which is kind of weird though because I hate spiders, but I like Spider-Man. I don't know. But my number 1 hero is Batman. I know a lot of people say they like Batman, but I do. I really do. I've read the comics. I've watched all the movies, all the shows. I've always been into Batman. Batman was probably my second hero that I ever really liked. Like I said, it was Supergirl was first, and then came Batman and Wonder Woman later on. But I was always just really liked the whole thing with Batman. It was like different than with other heroes because with a lot of other heroes they seem happy. I mean, darker on the exterior, and they're actually like the happy hero underneath. Like Peter Parker is actually this nerdy weirdo, like seemingly weirdo to his classmates, and underneath he's actually this awesome happy Spider-Man. But with Batman, he's actually happy on the outside and more sad in the inside. And I thought that was really interesting. And I love his whole backstory. I love all the characters in the comics. I love all the villains. I love everything about Batman. I've watched all the Batman movies from the original Batman with okay, I'm blanking on the original Batman's name. Okay, I can't remember, but I know that Robin was played by Burt Ward, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember, for some reason, I can't remember the original Batman's name is blanking, but I did really I watched that show, I watched that movie, I watched the Tim Burton movies, I even suffered through the Joel Schumacher movies. I watched them all, and I've read the comics, and I watched the show, I watched the Batman the Animated Series, Batman the Brave and the Bold, the Batman. Yeah, I'm a Batman person, so Batman's always been my favorite. My favorite Batman incarnation was the Tim Burton Batman. I really enjoyed his movies. I felt like they really captured the feeling of Batman because they kept the kind of the campiness of the original series, but they also kept the darker side. And while I like Christopher Nolan's Batman now, I almost think it's a little too dark. I don't know. That's kind of a weird way to put it, but that's another thing for another day. But anyway, so Batman is definitely my number 1. So thank you for watching. If you would like to do your top 10 superheroes, your top 20 superheroes, your top 5, you can reply to my video or to Hayden Claire Hero's awesome video. And do your top ones. I'd love to know what they are. So thanks for watching.